Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon. I want to bring another video today just talking about the future of Pokemon. Specifically, I want to talk about Gen 10. We're talking so much lately about Black and White remakes with the release of the Indigo Disc, kind of having a lot of heavy Unova themes going on there. But I want to look a little bit further than that. I want to look at Gen 10 because, believe it or not, Gen 10 things are happening around us. First off, there's the fact that Gen 10 is in development right now, guys. I think so often we think about, what's, next, but we don't realize that what's next isn't even all that's being worked on right now, right? Like, typically, Pokemon games seem to have about 2 to 3 years of development, even if it's, just conceptualizing, they're doing some groundwork on it. Even if it is just them drawing the Pokemon designs and being like, hey, does this look good? That's all happening right now, and that's really cool. I know some people go, it's too soon to be talking about Gen 10. It doesn't matter. That's not what's coming next. I never said it was what's coming next. In fact, I just said the opposite. And also, nobody likes a party pooper, so don't be that guy. People like to talk about this stuff. And specifically, there's been a lot going on that makes me personally think that we know where Gen 10 is next. Now, this is all speculative. It is based on some real stuff that's going on. But, needless to say, I am not an insider. I do not know. Frankly, I don't even think insiders know. Like Riddler Koo, that's a big name in the Pokemon Leaks community. I don't even think he knows what Gen 10 is, to be honest. It seems like he gets his information, like, very need to know, very close to a thing's release. So I don't think, or at least reveal, so I don't think that he has that kind of knowledge. But yeah, I just wanted to get into that. This will be a kind of more minimally edited video because, again, I'm just very busy right now, but I want to make sure I get out quality content to you, and I do think this is something big that's going on right now. So again, Gen 10, where exactly could it be? I think that there's, a lot of options, and there's definitely a lot of fan wants, right? But there's a lot of specifically things that are going on in Pokemon that seem to suggest certain areas, I know that the biggest thing as people what was the biggest thing was people point at this picture that is in the Scarlet and Violet house, and it says it's another region, and it's very pretty looking, and it looks very Greek or maybe even Italian. So some people are going, okay, Greece or Italy. I do not think that's it, though. I really, really don't. I think that our big contenders are Africa or the Netherlands. And personally, I'm leaning the Netherlands, but I'm going to show you why I think either of these two things. First off, Africa. Just looking at the past, first off, I will say, Pokemon does hint at what's next. That cannot be said enough. Pokemon loves to do this. You can say Legends Arceus was hinted at with the strong style and agile style. You can say that, Scarlet and Violet was hinted at in Sword and Shield with that wallpaper that was blocked off behind a red rope. So, it's a special room, and it has oranges and grapes on the wallpaper, There's tons of other examples. I've done several videos where I've touched on all the examples. I'm not going to do it here, but the point is that GameFreak likes to do this. So it makes sense that in Scarlet and Violet, there are things that are hinting at Gen 10, whatever that may be. So, Africa, the thing is there's, a lot of African themes going on in Scarlet and Violet. First off, just looking at the base game, you have Alfornada is very African inspired, and there's actually a real-world reason for that, too. That is that tip of Spain that would be, or Portugal, I can't remember which one's there, it might even be them sharing a border, but the Gibraltar area, which I know is a weird political thing and isn't even technically Spain or Portugal, I think it's technically Britain, it doesn't matter. The point is, that little area, actually, because it's so close to Africa, specifically to Morocco, it is very African. There's a lot of culture there. You also have a greater population of Muslims there, whereas most of Spain and Portugal is predominantly Christian, I believe Catholic, but you see a lot of crossover in that area, especially because of its close proximity to Morocco. So that's what Alfornada was doing, but even aside from that, you have a lot of heavy African, specifically Egyptian themes going on with even the Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet's base game. Look at our starter, Skeledirge. Skeledirge definitely does pull a lot from Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead, which is a Mexican tradition, a Mexican holiday. He definitely is pulling from that, but guys, he's also pulling from an Egyptian, a Nile crocodile. So you see that with it having the little plover bird. Maybe it's pronounced plover. I don't know. I'm bad with pronunciation. But the point is that little bird is based off of an Egyptian plover bird. And those are little guys that you'd see on Nile crocodiles' heads who will hop off and kind of clean their teeth. And that's how they get food. It's like a little symbiotic relationship that they have. But yeah, you're seeing that with Skeledirge. Pokemon can pull from multiple inspiration, guys. That is not me saying that Skeledirge has no Mexican inspirations in it. It clearly does, but it's not exclusively Mexican. There's also some very heavy African, specifically Egyptian vibes going on there as well. Now, moving outside of that, we do also have the Pokemon Farigiraf. That's obviously a giraffe. Those live in Africa, in case you didn't know. Then you have Rabsca, which is a scarab. And specifically, it is a scarab that you would see in Egypt. That's typically like tied to Egyptian themes. Like, I don't know if you guys watch Moon Knight, very heavy Egyptian show, ties a lot into Egyptian mythology. And a scarab is actually a very important thing that they have there. So, again, lots of African Pokemon. I'm sure if you did a deeper dive into them, you could find even more examples of this. But we won't do all that today. Again, I just want to hit the cliff notes here. Then you do also have, in the Indigo Disc, you have that Savannah biome. And the Savannah biome is very clearly African inspired. I don't know why I keep wanting to say expired, inspired. But very heavy African themes going on there. You know, it looks like an African savanna. And then also the Pokemon you find there, right? Like Doduo and Dodrio, kind of being very similar to ostriches. You do also find Rellor, a dung beetle, and Rabsca, again, the scarab, in that area. Another African animal, Zebstrika, Farigiraf. There's so many just heavy African-themed Pokemon in that area. You even have Pyroar there, and they did like a whole reference to Pride Rock, which is a location in a Disney movie set in Africa. So, again, very heavy there. Here's my one big thing, though. This is my one big thing. This is my big thing on why Africa is not next. I hope, look, I would love an Africa region, wherever. It wouldn't be Africa, because that's like a whole continent. But somewhere in Africa, I would imagine, you know, they're probably heading more at Egypt than anything. But I would love that so much. You could also say the mystery gift of Lucario for the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Indigo Disc DLC was kind of another Africa hint. You could say that, because that was kind of random, right? But again, I'm saying that I think one big thing we need to think about with this is that they're already giving us Africa, right? It doesn't look like they're teasing it. It looks like they're giving it to us. Like, I think about how when the Isle of Armor came out, many people, including myself, kind of thought, oh, this is hints that we're going to get a Asian region in Gen 9, specifically like maybe a Chinese region Gen 9. That did not happen. And I think the reason why that is because Game Freak was giving us, you know, a little taste of that in Generation 8. They were going, you know, this is very Chinese inspired. Here you go. This is kind of like a little China region you can visit, even though it wasn't based off China, but it had those themes, right? I think that that's what they're doing here too. It's like, hey, we know you guys really love Africa, so here we're giving you some African themes. But I don't think they would actually give us African-inspired areas and African-inspired Pokemon if that was what was next. I think that they would go, you know, in a more subtle approach. And that's where we get into the Netherlands, because I do think they have been kind of teasing the Netherlands a good bit. So first off, let's jump to the very beginning, and that is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which is considered to be the greatest Pokemon game of all time. It's beloved by the fans. I'm not going to do a Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl sucks joke. I'm sorry. I was building up to one, but I'll leave it alone for now, because that's not the point of the video. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, there is this painting that looks very similar to Starry Night, which of course is by Van Gogh, who is from the Netherlands and is kind of like, really well known there. It's their pride and joy, right? Or one of their prides and joys. Also, the Van Gogh Museum is in the Netherlands. More on that in a minute, by the way. But yeah, this is in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And you could say, that's too far back. And to that I say, I don't think it is. Because I think there's been hints further back. I think that the main character in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are wearing Crocs that look very similar to Fuecoco's, which actually is a Croc Pokemon. So, but that's a whole nother debate for a different time. I'm just saying that is the first instance of it. So then we move on. We had this year in 2023, we have this event that they did at the Van Gogh Museum. Pokemon did a collaboration with the Van Gogh Museum, and they did like Pokemon paintings, but like in the style of Van Gogh. They did like a trading card for Pikachu. The scalpers came and made a whole mess of it. The point is, they did this collaboration with a Netherlands-based attraction, right? A Netherlands-based company or corporation. Well, then, also, you had Junichi Masuda fly to the Netherlands and visit there. Now, I'll play devil's advocate here for a minute, but in the past, the Pokemon Company has actually visited the areas that they are, building for the next game. Like, they went to New York to build the Unova region. They went to France to build the Kalos region. They traveled around kind of just to get inspiration, right? It makes sense. If you're building a French game and you've never been to France or haven't even been to France recently, you might be doing something a little bit wrong. So Masuda was in the Netherlands. But, again, playing devil's advocate, Masuda does no longer work for GameFreak, right? Remember that Masuda was promoted to be beyond GameFreak. He now works for the Pokemon Company. So it'd be GameFreak developing the game. So that adds a little bit less credit to it. But again, just bear with me, because believe it or not, there's actually still more. In the Scarlet and Violet DLC, in the Indigo Disc, there is a map in one of the classrooms, and you can see it. They even kind of showed it off in a trailer. But it never gets explained. It doesn't look like it's anywhere in the terrarium, if I'm frank. Even though that was kind of the vibe I got of it at first. It's never explained, and it looks pretty dang similar to the terrarium as shown by this tweet right here. I believe it was Kuro that posted this. That's how I found it. But if there's someone else, I'll show it on screen so that they're properly credited. But yeah, this is kind of wild. That looks very similar to that part of the Netherlands, right? So I say all this to say that, again, while looking at Africa, they have been giving us a taste of what Africa would be like as a Pokemon region. But with the Netherlands, they haven't. They've just kind of given us, like, little things that are very Netherlands-esque, but, are not actually in the game. Like, we're seeing things in the culture, right? And I'm sure if you did some digging, you could find some Netherlands-themed things going on as well. By the way, also I will say, possibly a little hint at a feature that could be coming in Gen 10, or maybe even just in the 2024 games. Gita has this line of dialogue with Larry, where she basically tells him, oh, you've been selected to, like, go represent Galar in this championship of famous trainers or whatever. Galar, Paldea. And Larry, of course, is upset about it because, he hates his job and his life. Relatable as always, Larry. But that is interesting that she's hinted at that. Could be a hint at something that's going to be going on in Gen 10 region. Honestly, though, with Unova remakes kind of being thought to be coming out, or Unova-related games thought to be coming out in 2024, I would say if this is a hint at anything, and it could just be a Larry hates his life joke, but if this is a hint at anything, it could be a hint at the World Tournament in the Unova region. But then again, this line of dialogue happens in the Blueberry Academy, which is in Unova, and Gita says another region. You would think she would be like, here in the Unova region, but again, that's a whole nother theory for a whole nother time. I did very recently on Hidden Power, it was actually, fun fact, We recorded this video the video on Hidden Power that I'm about to talk about, back in like May of 2023, and just so many things happened that we kind of had to put in the vault, and it's now getting released because we're all busy and haven't been able to get together and record a podcast. But there was this video where I kind of made a like PowerPoint of what a Carolinas, Florida, and Georgia region could look like as a Pokemon game, because I am from the Carolinas, was born in North Carolina, lived in South Carolina for some time, love Florida, frequently visited there, Disney World rocks, all that, so I decided to build a region off of that. If it would interest you all, let me know in the comments, because I would love to do this for the Netherlands. I'd love to make a Netherlands themed region and then maybe debut it on here in this kind of new podcast style approach that I'm trying to go for in some videos, so do let me know that in the comments below. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on all this because pretty much the moment I saw Masuda landed in the Netherlands, I started getting kind of suspicious, and just as all these puzzle pieces have fallen together, it's kind of become more and more like, who, you know? And again, I think it could be Africa, and maybe even Italy. I still kind of think they'd want to go further from Spain than Italy. I think they would, want to go to a different climate. Italy and Spain do have kind of the same climates, and they are Mediterranean-based. I just feel like they'd go somewhere a little bit more different from Spain. Not saying Italy and Spain are exactly the same, because they're not. They're way different. But I think they'd go somewhere even more different. That doesn't mean we'd be sticking around in Europe again. And I know a lot of people are upset about that. But again, with this talk about return to Japan, well, now we've returned to Japan with Kitakami. So, you get what I'm saying. It may... Some of these teases where they actually give us a taste of it, I feel like aren't teases. It's just kind of them satisfying. It's fan service, right? But then the big things, the things that are like happening in the real world around us, and the things that's like it feels like they're hinting at, but they're not showing us what it would be like, those are the things I feel like they're saving for a future Pokemon game. But yeah, let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think of a Netherlands region. Let me know if you would want a video on what that could look like, the kind of Pokemon we did there. I think I did like over 100 or close to 100 like ideas for what Carolinas, Florida, Georgia Pokemon could exist. Now, I will say, I imagine I wouldn't be quite as good at doing that with the Netherlands, because I'm born and raised there, so I don't know it like the back of my hand, because I don't live there like I do the Carolinas. So, just something to think about. But yeah, if you'd like that video, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think about all this. What do you think Gen 10 is? And if you come to comment on my video to say that no one cares about Gen 10, you're objectively wrong, and no one likes that guy. Don't be that guy, okay? Alright. Lumi out.